hopefully you can then go and read those books and adopt some of the understanding that I got from those books. And then obviously lastly, throughout every single unit, we've got the peer-to-peer learning function. This is the live chat function that you can talk and engage, not just with a mentor, but also with your peers whilst doing the course. It's so crucial, guys. Remember, you're going to learn so much more from one another. You're going to get so many more examples from each other if you're sharing your ideas, sharing your strategies with each other. So that's predominantly how the course is broken down with its key features. As you can read, obviously units 6 to 15, each one is a strategy. There are 10 unique strategies throughout the Footprint course. And once you've completed all 15 units, you can then move on to unit 16, the bonus material. Obviously, once you get to unit 16, you can then go and view a debriefing, a strategy session of how I would take the tool at the end of the day, how I would go look for new strategies, and how I would apply my understanding to the Footprint tool. And do note, guys, this is exclusive material only. It will only be for the Footprint subscribers. I'm very excited to share with you the Footprint 30-day challenge. I adopted this habit whilst training for my Ironman earlier on in 2017. You know, I'd always been one of those kind of guys that would just go out for a long run or get on the bike for a long bike ride, and eventually I'd experience things like burnout and just a lack of enthusiasm and motivation. And you know, I started taking a training program, and all of a sudden the results, the consistencies, the motivation, everything just started improving as a result of following some form of a plan. And that's exactly what this 30-day challenge is. It's me challenging you to stick to a 30-day plan. Now, as you can see, as per the calendar, I've broken it down into 5 weeks. Okay, now within those 5 weeks, I've broken it down into 7 days a week, i.e. Monday to Sunday. Now, what I propose you do is take the unit on the day that it has been allocated. Now, as you can see, obviously, some days have been allocated to rest. Please make sure you take these rest days. Just like athletes have to take time off and allow their bodies to recover, it's the same with trading. You have to allow your mind to recover. You have to allow your mind to absorb the information it's taken in. Also, after every strategy unit, I have allocated a day of practice. Now, these days of practice can be utilized for one of two things. One, you can either play catch up on maybe a unit that you haven't completed yet, or you can even go back over the strategy unit just to make sure you understand the strategy. More importantly though, if you do understand it, spend the entire hour or two just mulling over charts, looking for that strategy in a number of markets. Utilize that trial of yours and make sure that you fully understand the strategy and can apply it to live market examples. Then also, what you will notice is that it's imperative that you only begin the trial of the footprint chart on day 2, i.e. after you've completed unit 1. Note, the trial does end after 30 days, at which point you can continue your trial, but you will need to then purchase the Market Delta charting software. Also do note, once that charting software trial finishes, Axia Futures will then give you a 1-month free subscription to our premium streaming service. The purpose of this is twofold. Obviously, a lot of our streams do cover the Footprint tool in action, where you'll hear from numerous traders referencing the Footprint tool, why they utilize it, where they utilize it, what sort of trade strategies you can look out for with the Footprint tool. Secondary to that, obviously, if you join the live Premier membership, you will also then have access to the peer-to-peer community learning section, and this is a chat room where you can engage with not just a mentor but also your fellow peers who are completing or who have completed the course and who are utilizing the tool on a day-to-day basis. So guys, just make sure, take this challenge, don't skip ahead. Remember, the reason I set out this challenge is so that you can avoid things like fatigue, avoid getting demotivated, avoid the stress of thinking that this is a very complex tool when in essence it's very, very simplistic. So hopefully the 30-day challenge has got you really excited about what's to come in the Footprint course. If it hasn't, then the outline of the 10 strategies you can expect to see ought to do the trick. So some of the strategies you can expect to see include both momentum as well as counter trend strategies. We've done this for a very good reason. Not all traders are alike. Some traders don't like to necessarily go with the flow. Some traders like to go against the flow. Equally, some traders like to be a little more passive in execution, whereas some traders like to be more aggressive. So we've created 10 unique strategies that will include all sorts of strategies for a whole number of different types of traders. Now note, obviously, units 5 to 11 will include footprint standalone strategies only. What this simply means is that you only require the footprint tool to not just interpret but also execute these unique strategies. The last 4 strategies in units 11 to 15, you will require not just the footprint tool but also a little bit of context. This context we will build through utilizing candlestick charts as well as basic fundamental understanding around the various trade strategies. Let's now briefly go through the trade strategy grid. It's broken up into 2 basic elements. First will be momentum strategies and then counter trend strategies. Now, within the momentum and counter trend strategies, you will note that some of them will require passive execution and some of them aggressive execution. This simply means passive is where you're waiting for the market to come to you and give you a certain price. Whereas aggressive, you have to go to the market and make the market. Now, in terms of the momentum strategies, some of the footprint standalone strategies you will see are absorption and auctioning, auction imbalances, and the initiative drive. In terms of then the more contextual and footprint trade strategies on a momentum side, you will see the footprint delta and position unwind as well as breakout trading. In terms of counter trend strategies, the footprint standalone will include failed break of support and resistance, hiding behind the elephant, as well as exhaustion highs and lows. And then in terms of counter trend strategies that require context and footprint, there'll be risk event trading strategy as well as key auction reversal. Those are the 10 types of strategies you can expect to see throughout the footprint course. So now that you know what the 10 strategies are that we're going to cover throughout the footprint course, I'm going to give you a little idea of what you can expect to see within each one of those strategy units, 6 to 15. So what I've found through experience with particularly mentoring a lot of younger traders is they have all the energy and all the the willpower to want to succeed, but they never have a very strong, disciplined, routine approach to analyzing and templating the markets. And that's why we've developed the trade strategy learning process loop. So this loop, very simply, is just a manner in which we can observe the markets in an exact manner to develop a consistent approach over time. So what do I mean by this? So take, for example, in Unit 6, when we begin the strategy, we're going to start off by observing the strategy. By observing it, we're going to talk about things like time frame participants, market context, trade locations, and volatility. These are all the sorts of characteristics that will allow you to observe when this trade strategy could potentially be in play. So once we've learned to observe the trade strategy, we're then going to learn to identify when that trade strategy is in play. Certain characteristics we're going to look at will include volume, time, flow, delta, and relative change. These characteristics are going to allow us to identify when the trade strategy is in play. And lastly, we're going to work on execution. So observing the trade strategy is important, identifying it is also important, but most important is learning to execute effectively and efficiently. Now within this execution, we're going to spend time looking at the entry points as well as timing of trade strategies. We're going to talk about where to place your stops as well as where to place your targets. We're then going to also finish talking a little bit about risk reward within each trade strategy, and lastly, how we can leverage these trade strategies to ultimately get big. This loop you're going to find throughout the entire Unit 6 to 15. The reason being is that I want you to learn to develop not just a very strong habit, but a very strong approach to looking at the markets. By looking at the markets through a templated approach,